Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to get in the room, and then we'll get started at 2:30.
Perfect. Man, I love watching it. You can just see like everybody's coming in.
It's fun. Like the attendance popcorn, and everybody pops in the room. It's pretty great.
Love it.
That's good. Usually the first question we get asked is if this session will be recorded, and it will be. And the recording will be up in a couple of days on our website. So if you have colleagues that weren't able to make it today, or you want to come back and revisit content, that recording will be ready for you on our website.
And while you're getting logged on, we will be interactive today. So if you were on the last session that I did, you're going to be familiar with this. If not, welcome. But right up on the screen, you should see a gray box right about in the middle. So all you have to do is, if we could just pull out our cell phones, because I know you have one sitting next to you, you're just going to open up a new text message. And in that text message, you're going to send a message to the number 22333. And the message you're going to send is Elizabeth Habe 350. I apologize for the terribly long name. It doesn't let me pick. So sorry, you got to deal with it. That's why I got it up on the screen. But we'll be interactive today. So be sure to pull that cell phone out and get yourself logged in. It doesn't cost any data. It's just through text messaging, unless you pay for your text, and then you can opt out if you would like. It doesn't collect any data, so I'm not going to get your information. It's just for the use of this presentation today. So again, as you're getting logged in, just find that gray box, send a text, and get logged in so we can get you counted today or hear your voice.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, it looks like we are ready to get started. It is 2:30. We've got a bunch of folks who have joined us. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to learn about building strong relationships, especially when we are working virtually, but this also applies when we are working face-to-face. So we are very lucky to have Elizabeth Haberberger, who's the president of Dale Carnegie St. Louis, here with us. So Elizabeth, thank you for your time and your energy, because having you on a screen makes everything digitally better. We appreciate it so much. I'm going to hand things over to you now.
Thanks, Kelly. So again, if you're just logging in, be sure to pull out that cell phone. Just send that text message to the number 22333, and the message is Elizabeth Habe 350. We'll start with a quote from Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs says that great things in business were never accomplished by one person. And how true is that today? None of us get to do our job successfully by sitting alone and not interacting with anybody else. We all have to build relationships. And whether we're building relationships with our manager or our direct reports, with our customers or with our peers, relationships are more critical now than ever, given all of the changes, whether we're virtual or in person. So we're going to get started by just understanding what makes strong relationships. I told you you were going to need those phones, and you're going to need them right about now. So when we think about what makes a strong relationship, if you didn't get texted in yet, it's right up there in that gray box again. If you did get in, go ahead and start texting. Let us know in one word what makes a strong relationship. So someone says trust already. That's one thing that makes a strong relationship. What else makes a strong relationship? Yeah, Daniel says people. So if you don't have access to use the text messaging, you are more than welcome to throw some thoughts in the chat for us. What we'll find by watching the screen is that the more someone texts in that word, the bigger that word gets. So when we think about what makes strong relationships, it looks like trust, communication, respect. Those are three critical things for us. Rapport, consistency, confidence is a key to relationships we see. Reputation, honesty, that one's getting bigger. We're having some more people text in honesty. It's got to be a partnership. So relationships aren't one-sided, right? We have to have two sides to that relationship. There has to be a dialogue, empathy. So it's not just about the things that we're doing, but we have to be able to connect emotionally. Great listeners, values, caring personally, common ground, candor, somebody said. There are so many things. Like, I love, we keep seeing them pop up because there are so many characteristics of strong relationships. And so when we think about what really makes a strong relationship, it's all of these things. And, with everything going on today, we could have asked the same question a year ago in not this COVID environment. And the things that we would have said make a strong relationship would have been very similar. So regardless of whether we're virtual or in person, it's the integrity, it's the problem solving, it's the accountability, it's the understanding. These are the things that are going to make a strong relationship, whether we're in person or over the computer or over the phone, whatever it might be. I don't even want to leave the screen because everybody keeps texting in such great words. So we will go ahead and move on, though, talk about what we're going to cover here today, what we'll look at in the next roughly 30 minutes or so. Don't worry, you guys are going to have other opportunities that we'll text in really shortly. So today we're going to focus on learning some strategies to engage with other people, to build relationships. We're going to talk about how we can modify our own behavior to connect with others. We cannot change other people as much as we would like to try. But we're going to talk today about how we can modify our behaviors to interact differently and build stronger relationships. And then finally, we're going to create what we call a relationship map and start to develop an action plan for how we can strengthen the relationships in our world. So think about those three and let us know in the chat, which of those is the most important for you? Is it understanding how to build and engage with others, build those relationships? Is it understanding how we can modify our behaviors? Or is the most important for you to create this action plan? What's the most important for you? Figure out how to modify our own behaviors, says Ben. Yep, because again, we can't change other people. We just have the ability to change ourselves. Tina is with Ben. Tom says he was wanting to focus on how can we learn some of these strategies to engage with others. So up on the screen, we've got a couple paragraphs there. Now, I know we have some people calling in. You might not be able to see that, so I'll read it out loud. I'm well aware everyone on this call can read. I'm only reading because we have some people who probably can't see. So I'm going to read it, and as you're listening or as you're reading it to yourself, think about what jumps out at you. And whatever you see that jumps out, let us know in the chat. Maybe it's a word, maybe it's a phrase, maybe it just makes you think of something. So it says, why relationships? Individual and organizational success do not happen by chance. It happens intentionally by defining the kind of person we want to be and intentionally working toward that goal. We become more effective in both the workplace and our personal lives. Our career success depends to a large extent on the trusting, dynamic relationships we build at every stage of our professional development. Trust is the foundation of all successful professional relationships. When we trust our colleagues, we have rapport, we're more productive, and we experience a greater degree of satisfaction. Most of us in settings with high expectations and a requirement to do more, most of us work in settings with high expectations and a requirement to do more, better, faster, with less. The best way to meet those challenges is through creating strong teams, supportive relationships, and a cooperative work environment. So as you read through that or as you listen to that, what jumped out at you? For Terry, Terry said that expectations can be unrealistic. Right? Sometimes, yeah, we do have unrealistic expectations of relationships, of what we think people should do or how they should act. One for me that always jumps out in looking at this is trust. It mentions trust a few times and how important and how critical we know trust is when it comes to building relationships. Oh, look, someone wants to call me to talk about relationships right now. So we're going to start by focusing on a working together model that we use when we're talking about relationships. I'm going to do not disturb that in a minute. So when we think about working together, it really is a 3-step process. And this is the model that we use in all of our development experiences. So the very first step is all about connection. And connection is simply building that trust. Right? Dale Carnegie says that people are not creatures of logic, we're creatures of emotion. So it's building that emotional connection, that likability, that rapport, that trust. It's only then that we can move up to that second step, which is cooperate. Once people like us, once we've got their trust, then they're willing to be influenced. Then they're willing to maybe come on board with some of our ideas willingly. And it's only when they're willing to come on board and cooperate that we can inspire change, that we can get people thinking differently and acting differently. And oftentimes that's where we start. We think, well, I need people doing things differently. Here's what I need. Here's what I need them to do. And that's where the ROI comes from. But what we realize is sometimes we haven't invested enough in that bottom tier, in that foundational tier of connecting. And that's really where we're going to focus today. Because we firmly believe that through the whole COVID environment, nobody is going to come out of this maintaining their relationships. Relationships are going to come out of this either stronger or weaker. And there are some things we can do right now, whether, again, we're in the office, maybe we're going into the warehouse all the time, maybe we're still sitting at home. Regardless of where we're at, there are things we can do to enhance our relationships. So Dale Carnegie gave us 9 different ways that we can enhance our relationships. Has anyone, just out of curiosity, ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People? If you've ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People, just let us know in the chat. So Dale Carnegie wrote the book in 1936. Yes, Mark has read it, and the exclamation mark, I'm guessing, means that he likes it. Hi, Tyler. Tyler's in the Leadership Development Program. So when we think about this book, though, he wrote 30 principles in there. And these 30 principles, an 11-year-old is reading it. I love it. These 30 principles are the foundation of everything we do at Dale Carnegie. And his first 9 principles are all about how we can connect with others. So we're going to take a look at those first 9 principles here today. Again, you can find more information about these. They're all in that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So check it out if you have not ever read it before. Yeah, there you go. Read it in 1967. So it's a classic. It still is one of the top selling books on Amazon today. So the very first principle that we talk about that Dale Carnegie says is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Now, this is the only principle he wrote in the negative, telling us what not to do. Every other principle he wrote is telling us what we should do. So when we think about don't criticize, condemn, or complain, we often say, okay, well, what does he mean by that? Does he mean that we should just say, okay, everything's fine, don't worry about anything, no big deal if you mess up? Well, no, that's not what Dale Carnegie's saying. What he's saying is kind of twofold. One is that oftentimes he's talking about us. And how often do we criticize ourselves or do we condemn ourselves? And then the second is not saying we can't correct. It's not saying we have to let subpar work or inappropriate things happen, but it's about how we approach them. What's the attitude that we're approaching them with? Are we approaching them with that negative attitude of criticizing or complaining? Or are we approaching situations and people with a more positive attitude? Now, the second principle he talks about is to give honest, sincere appreciation. And the key words in that principle are honest and sincere. Think about a time when someone said something to you that was really meaningful. Like when someone gave you some truly meaningful appreciation. And think about what made it meaningful. Well, Dale Carnegie says that flattery comes from the teeth out. Sincere appreciation comes from the heart out. So when we think about giving people honest and sincere appreciation, it's about not just saying, oh, hey, good job for that. You know, nice work the other day. We have to truly mean it. They should feel it, not just hear it. in their ears, they should feel it in their heart. So when we give honest and sincere appreciation, one thing we talk about at Dale Carnegie a lot, and a great strategy we can use right now, is to show appreciation, not just for the work that somebody does, but show some appreciation for who they are. Think about some positive personality traits they have and appreciate those. Appreciate their confidence, their work ethic, their patience, their flexibility, whatever that is right now. Give some appreciation based on who somebody is. What a powerful way to strengthen relationships. Next up, he says arouse in the other person an eager want. This principle is where you can tell this book was written in 1936. Sometimes people are like, what in the heck does that one mean? Well, arouse in the other person an eager want simply means that nobody is going to do something just because you want them to. The only way to get another person to do something is to make them want to do it. And so how do we make other people want to do things? Well, we have to figure out what they want, because they might not be too concerned that your bonus is on the line, right? They might not be too concerned that if this goes well, you will look good in front of a customer. What is it that they want? Are they wanting recognition from senior leaders? Are they wanting to be the lead on a new project? We have to figure out what it is that they want. And when we start thinking about our relationships in terms of what the other person wants versus just what we want, a surefire step to improving any relationship we've got. Principle 4 is to become genuinely interested in others. Let us, what does genuine interest mean to you? When you hear that, become genuinely interested in others. What does genuine interest mean? I know we have a definition here at Dale Carnegie of what genuine interest means. They say oftentimes, and there's a quote not by Dale Carnegie, but it says, instead of being interesting, be interested. We have to become genuinely interested in others. Genuine interest is doing something for someone, knowing they can't do anything for you in return. Taking an interest in the things that they like, taking an interest in them, their hobbies, their work, them personally. And then we get to principle number 5. Principle number 5 is the shortest principle to read, sometimes the hardest one to do: smile. When we think about smiling, it literally changes our brain. And this is one that we can do virtually, even when we're not in person, even when we can't see people's faces. Like right now, whatever you're doing, put a smile on your face. Just smile. You feel a little goofy sitting there smiling, but what happens is that our brains start to change. We probably feel a little more alert right now. Maybe our mood just changed, or we sat up a little straighter. Smiling changes our brain and makes us more positive. And when we're interacting with others, we want to be more positive. So try to smile next time. Principle 6, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. We might not be meeting too many new people right now. Again, this is a great one virtually. When somebody pops on to a Zoom call or a WebEx, to be able to say, oh, hey, Adam, how you doing today? Or, hey, Chris, well, how's it going? Pop off, we want to see you. When we can use people's names are who we are. Names really connect and resonate. So as often as we can use a person's name in conversation, take advantage of that. All right, principle 7, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Listening is one thing we often overrate. We overemphasize how good we are. Most people say, yes, I'm a pretty good listener. Research shows, no, you're not. You just think you are. There are lots of challenges to listening. Sometimes we just don't care about what the other person is saying. Sometimes we have this thing beeping right in front of us, or we have our email dinging on another screen. We're thinking about what we have to do when we get home later tonight. We have lots of distractions in our world. When we truly take the time to listen to what other people say, we're more likely to understand them. versus just listening enough so we can respond to whatever it is they're asking. And that ties right into principle number 8, talk in terms of the other person's interest. Again, this is not about us. It's about the other person. So when we're talking to, whether it's our team, whether it's to clients, it could be to our manager, to our peers, are we talking about things that we care about? Or are we talking about things they care about? The next time you're in a conversation with somebody, whether you are virtual, like via Zoom, or in person, pay attention to what happens when someone tells you about their experience, right? They're going to talk to you about, Kelly and I were talking before this call. My hair is really long right now, right? About getting a haircut. So if someone tells you a story or something, pay attention to how many times you immediately want to make it about you and say, oh, well, one time I did something like this, or I've had that experience. Talk in terms of the other person's interest. Talk about the things that are interesting to them, not just the things that have to do with you. And then finally, principle number 9 is to make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. If we can do principles 1 through 8, we will have made the other person feel important. And again, it's not what makes us feel important, it's what makes them feel important. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages. If you've ever read it, to me, love and importance are like the same thing. And so when we think about it from a professional standpoint, one thing that makes me feel appreciated and loved and important is words. So tell me how awesome I am all day long, and I'm a happy camper. That's all I need. My husband, he doesn't necessarily want that. He wants you to do stuff for him, like do the laundry or unload the dishwasher. And so I tell him how awesome he is all day long, and it doesn't resonate. And he does things for me, like does the laundry and unloads the dishwasher, but it doesn't always resonate. We have to do what the other person likes, what makes them feel important. So let's think about, Erin, you are now my favorite person on this whole call. All right, so think about these 9 principles and think about the one principle that you think, I need to be doing that again. I need to do more of that, because chances are we've done these before. Let us know in the chat, what's the one that you look at and say, I need to be more consistent with that. I need to do that more often. I need to start doing that again. So just let us know in the chat, and you can just type a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Daniel says, I need to listen. Tina is with you on that. All right. Oh, look at this list. Number 7 is popular. Yeah. And what a great opportunity when we're virtual right now that we have to just sit back and listen, right? Take some more time to listen to other people right now. Genuine interest. We've got a couple for principle number 4, getting some genuine interest from people. Saying names, arousing an eager want. Look at all these principles. Talk in terms of the other person's interest. Claire, with a smiley face, says she's going to make some people feel important. So regardless of which principle we're going to use, we have lots of different people that we can use this with. Use these principles with. Yes, Terry likes principle 2, appreciation. So think about right now your relationships and think about who's the most important, who's the most critical, and pull that cell phone back out. And this time, all you have to text is a letter. So A is if you would say my peers and my team, those are my most critical relationships right now. B, if you say it's my customers and clients, that's my most critical. C is my company's leaders or managers. D would be my personal relationships. Or E is if you say somebody else who doesn't fall in any of these buckets. All right, so lots of us are saying right now that it's customers and clients. Those are critical relationships for us. Personal relationships are also big right now. Yeah, personal relationships are having a big impact on us professionally. Maybe we're not getting to see as many people in our personal lives as we're used to. Peers and team, that's another big one. Sorry, managers and company leaders, if you're on this call, you're not getting much love right now. They're important, they're just not the most critical. Yep, and we're seeing some in the chat. So thank you. Even if you're not on text, still getting in. Lots of us in the chat are kind of echoing what we're seeing here. Lots of customers and clients. So this can change based on maybe what season of the year it is. If it's a really busy season for us, it might be more customers. Maybe summer for us, it's personal because we've got our kids home. COVID has something to do with this. This can constantly change when we think about what relationships are most critical for us. One thing that we can always do is a relationship map. So this is one way that we do it. This would be a great screen if you want to just take a little screenshot or grab your cell phone, take a picture. Yours could look very different than this. Yeah, Lou, all of the above. Every relationship is important. But when we think about who are those people, it can help to map them out. And so while you might not have people who report to you, or maybe you're not customer facing and you don't have customers, you could adjust this map to fit any group that's relevant for you. So maybe you have, maybe your kid's not playing baseball right now, but maybe you have a church group that you're involved in, or maybe you have an NAD group that you're involved in specifically. You could add, subtract, take any groups in here that you like. And what we recommend is that you put down the names of as many people as you can, and then start to go through and say, okay, if here are the people that I have relationships with, then start to think about which of those principles should I be using? Which of those 9 principles, maybe I really need to give that one person some appreciation. And maybe somebody else, I just need to talk more in terms of their interest. And somebody else, I could really make them feel important this week. So by taking some time to write this down, sometimes we can see things or trends pop up that maybe we didn't see before. So as we think about looking at those principles and coming back and thinking of who we could use those with, about what you really want right now out of relationships. What do you really want? And pull that cell phone out one more time and let us know. Like, what do you want out of your relationships right now? We're kind of maybe on the tail end. We don't really know of this COVID pandemic. Maybe you're virtual. Maybe you're in person. What do you want from your relationships right now? Sales, yes, sales do not stop. We want trust. Oh, equal. We want understanding or sensitivity, because not only do we have all of this, COVID kind of health crisis going on, but there's a big social movement right now too. So we need some compassion potentially. We want meaning. We want confidence. Yeah, we're seeing some in the chat there. We want growth. We want compassion, candor. We want orders. We got some salespeople on this call. I love it. Ooh, we want substance. Yeah, we want to go deeper than just surface level. Well, when we think about these relationships and what we want out of these relationships, we can have all of these things. There's no reason we can't have a relationship where there's true care, where we're patient. It's a mutual relationship. We've got empathy, appreciation, responsiveness. We can have these things. All it takes is for us to use these principles. If we could all leverage these 9 principles in every relationship, in every interaction, I bet we could say, you know what, my relationships are partnerships. We're loyal to each other. We communicate. There's understanding. There's opportunity for us to continue. Which principles are you going to continue to use in your relationships? All right, so again, I hate having to pop off of these screens, but we're gonna hop off of this screen. Again, this will be on the recording that Kelly's got, so you can always go back and capture some of these words. But some of us might be thinking, right, what now? I've got some strategies to connect my relationships. We know that relationships are all about working together in collaboration. We talked about there are 2 sides to every coin. My contact information is right up here on the screen. If you've got a QR reader, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, either via email. You can text me if you'd really like. Connect with me on LinkedIn. We will also be at LEAD, Dale Carnegie will, doing a session on collaboration. So if you haven't signed up for LEAD or if you're considering it, this would be a great way to build off of what we've talked about today. So with that, we have about 2 minutes left for a Q&A. So if you've got Q&A for us, let's see. Oh, someone put their answer in Q&A. Who has the first question? And if you have a question, go ahead and just type it in the chat for us. And it could be about building relationships, could be about Dale Carnegie, could be about me, doesn't matter what it is, but who has the first question? Woo, an original leader. I have no doubt then that we will get to see you at this year's LEAD conference, because if you're an OG leader, you'll be back. You're too old. Oh, I didn't know LEAD had a cap. Oh, Sandy. Okay, so Sandy asked, any tips for remembering names? Yes. So we have a whole book, and that's part of a program that we do on remembering names. One trick that I'll give you is to create a picture. So most people, their minds think in terms of pictures. So what you want to do is associate someone's name with a picture. So Sandy, for example, I could remember you by picturing you, and I can't see your face, so I don't know what you look like, but maybe I picture you on a sandy beach and you are running around with John Stamos playing volleyball. So that's how I could remember Sandy Johns. So by putting someone in a scenario that's kind of out there and wild, that's one great strategy to remember names. Who's got the final question? All right, we'll leave with this quote. It's one of my favorites from Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers. It says, rule number 76, no excuses, play like a champion. We have no excuses not to go out and build strong relationships right now. You've got 9 tools, so make it happen this week. Thank you guys for having me on today. Kelly, do you have anything else? I'm going with no. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and hopefully we'll see some of you at LEAD.